Hello and welcome to Pro Trader Strategies Market Commentary for Thursday, April the 2nd. I'm Eric Wilkinson, and you may recognize me from mainstream media where I've talked about economic, geopolitical, and how that impacts the overall markets. Well, I do about the same thing in these daily market commentaries, but I layer on top of it different strategies that we can use with options to implement into our portfolio to increase that overall yield and lower what our overall cost is put out there. So like basically we're using some leverage. We can use options in place of just going out and buying stocks or just covered call strategies. That overall increases our yields. So I do daily market commentaries where I talk about my stuff. And then I also do on Thursdays, like today, talk about different strategies where I really drill down on those option strategies and explain the right environment, the days to expirations, and all those things that go into building out an option strategy. So please check those out. All right, well, let's get on with the economic data. Across the pond, really not a whole lot to see there. Something we did get here in the United States was the weekly jobless claims number. Now remember last month we came out with like 2,287,000, I think, just off the top of my head, thousand jobless claims. Well, that increased to 3,307,000 jobless claims. Well, this month we were expecting 3.6 million jobless claims. It came in at 6.6 and a half million jobless claims. 6.6 million people claimed unemployment last week, guys. So that is massive. Right at the beginning of the month here, we're also talking about people trying to pay for rent. You know, I've talked about how many people I know that have been laid off or furloughed. The restaurant industry has got to be getting crushed. Clearly, I haven't been able to get my hair cut. So all of those things really going to be a dent in the overall economy. Also, we got factory orders unchanged, didn't increase, and it was expected to increase by about 0.2%. Natural gas storages came in at a drawdown of 19 billion cubic feet, expected to be 31 billion cubic feet. So one thing to note, we're looking at crude oil. Yesterday, we saw that massive build happening. Today, it looks like Trump talked to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and trying to get them to speak with Putin and kind of bury the hatchet here to cut back on the amount of crude oil they're putting out onto the market to try and help the U.S. oil and gas industry. Well, at the end of the day, I want to see oil prices pretty low. Yes, it's going to hurt them, but overall, with people really cutting back on travel and everything else, this might spur some of the economy or allow people to spend that money elsewhere for people that do need to travel, that not spending money on gas, can be spent elsewhere in the economy. And right now, with people being unemployed, I think that having very low gas prices is going to be helping out the better part of the manufacturing sector and the consumer. So I would rather see it lower, to be honest. All right, on with the markets. Like I said, crude oil up almost $5 on the day, off the highs, but still up on the day, making that move. We got gold higher on the day by about $44. Now, again, we are toggling back and forth here, trying to build a bit of a bottom here, but something to note here, and I just noticed that with this little bit of a move higher today in this market is it looks like we have some inverse head and shoulders going on right now that I'll try and point out here. If I can pull up my pen. Where did it go? Why don't you want to work today? Hello? Anybody see it? Oh, there it is. It's way over here. All right, so let's pull this pen up. So this is where we're talking about with the head and shoulders. So you got a shoulder here. Oh, it's in black. Let's do it in white. We've got a shoulder here. We've got the head here and a shoulder there. Usually that means we are going to spike higher there. So that is looking like a head and shoulders with the neckline coming in right there. So bit of a head and shoulders, shoulder there, and we've got the head right there. So big smiley face moving higher. Could pop through that 1700 mark if it's like a true head and shoulders kind of thing going on there. Anyway, moving on, we've got bonds coming off just a little bit. Actually, no, they're higher on the day. We're just lower on where we open. I don't know if that chart looks a little funny. Oh, because it's the overnight trade added in there. If we take the overnight trade out, sorry, a little bit discombobulated on this, I guess. Show extended hours. I'm not going to do it. Anyway, higher on the day by about 24 basis or 24 ticks, and back up against that 182.28 area, which is a resistance area because it lines up with my, as you can see there, 261 extension. Then we got the VIX coming off today because we are seeing the equities rally. We were in negative territory overnight for the most part. Got a bit of a bounce here as the markets are starting to find a little bit of bid happening in here with the Dow Jones, and then with the NASDAQ up 180 or 138, dyslexia showing up. Everything could go wrong, is going to go wrong. Now, I've talked about this. I do expect us to try and stay within this area. Oops, maybe that's a little high, but within that area right there, as we are right at the point of control, without any massive spikes in this coronavirus. I think that, it is very hard to see what's going to happen here with the economy, especially with that 6 million. That was a bit of a kick in the gut today with that many people filing for unemployment. Even got me a little bit rattled on that. As you can clearly tell, I can't even form good sentences today. Right there, 2,500 even in the E-mini S&Ps, up 52 points on the day. Let's take a look at the breakdown of the mini S&Ps on a daily chart. You can see this, the 30-minute chart. Overnight, that pierced down to our lows. But pretty much when we started seeing Trump start to talk about this oil truce between Putin and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, that really started giving us a little bit of a lift here in the overall market. So starting to see a push higher here after seeing, this was the unemployment data really slamming us down, or the jobless claims, I should say. We get the unemployment non-farm payrolls tomorrow, and that is going to be an unenjoyment Friday, I'm sure, for most people. All right, let's talk about the trades that I've done. This is something that I was adding to my portfolio. I normally talk about using options. Well, this particular trade here, if we take a look, I'll pull up the options for Thor Industries, which is JCO. So they bought out JCO. JCO and Thor Industries builds RVs. And I kind of came to this thing yesterday, late in the day after the close, and was like, you know what? I think that a lot of people with coronavirus are probably getting cabin fever. Nobody's working. Well, what can you do to get out and about and still keep your social distancing during this time? So I'm thinking what people are going to be doing here going forward, at least for the foreseeable future, is want to travel, but they don't want to get on an airplane. They don't want to get it into an Airbnb or a hotel because of the close proximity, and you don't know who's been in that Airbnb or whether or not they were sick. So those things are going to influence people going forward. So I looked at Thor Industry. You can tell that their markets are not that great. Not a whole lot of volume and or open interest in here. So building out a strategy for this just didn't really fit, especially when I go out. I wanted to buy this for a longer term, maybe more than 100 days or so, and those markets are even wider there. So I just decided to go out there and actually buy this stock to to put into my portfolio. I did it super small. I just did it to really because I came up with this theory and wanted to act on it, right? So I went in and bought it at $38.10. I'm up about 40 cents on it right now. So get in right about where I got in. It's not a huge winner, but I do think that they've gotten beat up in this. I know that there's a lot of inventory out there right now. Even on the secondary market, there seems to be a lot of inventory. They did miss on their earnings, which kind of exacerbated the sell-off going on here. But I think that this is going to be something, or not a wave necessarily, but it is going to be something that more and more people are going to be adopting. I mean, as they want to travel and or don't want to jump onto an airplane. So that's where I came up with that. So added that to my portfolio. I haven't taken anything else off or done anything else with my portfolio, just kind of sitting on it at this point. And that's all I got for you guys. Check out today's webinar. It's going to be a really good one. It is on implementing options into our portfolio. So check it out. And if you can't take that, take it easy.